All right. The First Purge. You ready to rate it?
I gave it a very generous rating.
Okay. We'll see. 3, 2, 1.
Wait for it. Why didn't you say anything?
I'm glad one of us liked it enough to at least rate it.
That's cold. That's cold.
I'll start. That's okay. The First Purge. But I've never watched a Purge movie. This is the first one I've ever seen. And this one was not good. I
don't
thought
think any of them are supposed to be good.
I've actually heard a couple of the other ones are actually pretty good.
Oh, okay.
This one, with no basis of comparison to what the other ones are like.
Are we even going to be able to talk about this movie for 10 minutes?
Maybe. I mean, there's some things to take away from it. For me, it's like you just never need to see this movie. It's just, yeah.
You're so harsh. I love it. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Had they had continued with the first half vibe that they had going on with it, I actually would have probably rated this a pass it or a wait for it. What I wrote was that the first half is laughably bad. It's good.
You were laughing hysterically. I was like, what's happening?
The second half is just bad.
I fell asleep twice. I snoozed off twice.
They tried to inject social commentary into this film in the second half, and it did not work for me at all.
I just think it wasn't the right movie.
No.
I mean, I love to see those things, and I enjoy watching those types of films. It's educational type of, scratch that, but it's, they're good movies, but this one, it just was so bad.
One of the things I actually liked
didn't get it.
In the first half was like once the purge actually starts happening, there's like these characters that come out and they're so stupid, it made it enjoyable. One of my favorite parts of the film was these two old ladies that were going around terrorizing.
Hilarious.
They set up a trap in an alley with teddy bears.
Animal bombs.
With teddy bears, and someone walks into the alleyway, sets off a trap, and then the bears start exploding all around them. They're like packed with fireworks or something.
Do you know if the other films have that in their movies?
The goofiness?
Not the goofiness, the political stuff that we were talking about.
There's a little bit of politicalness in the other one, specifically from what I heard the third one, because the third one actually deals with a politician running for president who wants to stop the purge from happening.
Yeah.
So on purge night, when it goes down, a group of people kidnap her and bring her to the city to have her murdered. And then like she has her security crew comes in and I guess saves the day. But I've not seen the third film, so I don't know how it plays out, but that's the general gist.
I personally think that people who really like the franchise, or even like the franchise because it's kind of absurd, will want to see this movie enough to go see it in theaters, but I highly suggest to wait for it. I was very lenient on this rating.
I'm surprised you didn't give it a pass it. I mean, you fell asleep. How do you give a film you fall asleep in a wait for it?
I guess I gave it a
wait.
I just said why I gave it a wait for it. I said I gave it a wait for it for the people who really want to see it because of the franchise and because of its popularity. I'm just saying wait for it. And I just said that I gave it a very... I was also very tired. I had a long day at work. We went and saw it really late. You have to give me a little bit of credit. I fall asleep every single night we watch movies after like 9:30.
There's also a moment where like in the first half that was so bad it's good is that they have these awful CGI green screen scenes that play out. It's not a cheap movie. It's the most expensive. It has the highest budget of all the Purge films.
I would have never known.
Really? Yes.
I thought it was all like...
They've started with like $1 million. Like the first one was like a $1 million budget. It's a home invasion film. Second one, they added like a couple million more. Takes place in a city. And then the third one got a little bit more. And then now this one had a $13 million budget. At least that's what I've heard. It does not look like a $13 million film at all.
Wow.
The scene where Van Jones is interviewing the head of the NFFA and... man, I can't remember her name. This is how bad this movie is. It's making me forget.
Oh,
Aunt May.
Aunt May. I don't know what her name is.
I can't remember her name, But like they're interviewing them in front of the projects where this like they're having like the sign up for the
I can't
Purge.
believe she took on this role. She's too good for this role.
Clearly, it's just cash. She did it for the cash. She probably went in. All of her scenes, all the scenes she has that are outside are against a green screen. All the scenes, all the other scenes she has are in one room. There's like one location. She probably spent 2 days working on this movie, if that. And the dialogue is hammy. It's kind of like funny hammy in the first half.
It's kind of weird because it's funny hammy.
Yeah, it's the way they talk. You can tell like it was dialogue written by like someone who doesn't understand how people talk.
I wrote down that the characters felt very awkward with each other. There was no chemistry with anybody. There was no every character interaction with each other felt very choppy.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like robotic.
Very. People don't speak to each other the way that they speak to each other in this film. The dialogue is wooden. It is horribly read. It looks like the actors were given maybe all of like 3 hours to like learn their lines and try to talk to each other and actually say this dialogue, which was kind of like the goofiness of the first half for me.
I thought going in when I saw the first half, I thought it was one of those movies that were meant to be stupidly funny. Like that's how they were going to make their money because it was so bad it was funny. But then once they started the actual Purge, it just was bad.
I was actually kind of digging it up until when they started, the corporate government people started initiating the Purge.
Yeah.
And they actually brought in, like what happens like halfway through is that the Purge isn't doing what they wanted it to do. They want the lower class people to kill each other. And so that doesn't happen. They actually start partying in the streets and they're just having fun. So they bring in like these
military people,
gun for hires to come in and start killing all the people and initiating the murders.
There were too many villains. I felt like there was a new villain every segment.
I mean, I guess the first half it looked like the cartoon character Skeletor. There was a guy in this movie called Skeletor. He's a cartoon character from He-Man. Skeletor is from He-Man. That's okay. He's do you remember the movie Masters of the Universe? We watched it like last year or something. It takes place. Yeah. It's a film from the 80s. Skeletor was like the bad guy in that.
Yeah.
Skeletor is a bad guy from the Masters of the Universe cartoon. They name some villain in this movie Skeletor, and he's like straight out of a cartoon. I mean, this character, like literally, like, I'm Skeletor, and I'm going to find you.
Yeah, he had that weird voice with it too.
Yeah. Like that was part of like the goofy charm of like that first half that I could kind of like get behind a little bit. Like it was like one of those so bad it's good kind of films. And then they start actually purging. He kind of goes to the wayside, and then they enter in like the government oppressing
low income, low class citizens, and then it's all about that.
And then it's about uprising from oppression. And while I didn't mind the message, that message in this kind of film, I don't think is where this message should be. So the second half lost me when he tried going into like the social commentary.
Yeah.
But the thing is that this film isn't tasteful in any way.
It got all of a sudden super serious.
And it lost me when it did that.
Yeah.
I did not like it. I felt like it was going for kind of like I don't want to say The Warriors, because I know The Warriors is like a cult classic. A lot of people love that film. But The Warriors has sort of like that goofy charm to it that carries throughout the whole film, which makes The Warriors a very, I guess, endearing kind of film. I guess that's why it stood the test of time, because it's consistent with this tone. A lot of people think that film is awesome. A lot of people that were born in the 80s grew up with that film.
Yeah. I
felt like this kind of had, like the first half kind of had a little bit of that charm to it. And then they just make a turn. I mean, I don't even know how to describe some of the stupidness of this film. But it didn't work for me at all. So, I mean, I guess if you like the other Purge films, maybe check this one out. It's just a turn your brain off at the door kind of movie. I mean, I guess the ending was kind of cool in the building with the one drug dealer guy turned like John Wick, Rambo. That's what he does. I mean, he
Yeah,
essentially just picks up a gun and he just goes like kung fu on everybody in the.
That is what he does, and
building.
I was just about to say the end was okay.
The end was kind of cool.
okay. The
and I don't know
beginning
about the strobe lights. I didn't need to have strobe lights flashing in my face for the last 10 minutes of the movie. And that's what it was. Like they go on lockdown in the building. It's just like strobe lights.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's wrap this one up because we have nothing nice to say about it. So we just
sorry
should
to everyone
stop.
involved with this. It's making money. People are seeing it. We're not gonna hurt this film in any way possible. But anyways, yeah. I guess mine is it's a blank. I have nothing to say for this film. It is not a hey, see it, wait for it, or pass it. It is one of those films that if you watch it, you don't want anyone to know that you watched it.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, so that's it. Thanks for tuning in. I did not like this movie.
Yeah, we know.
So on to our next show.